for June 1st, 2021 to order. And I'd ask everyone to please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, however they'd like to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call of members, please?
Cumby.
Here.
Gabriel.
Here.
Harrington.
Here.
O'Doherty.
Here.
Schuster.
Here.
Stalder. Present. Somerville.
Here.
Pierce.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
That's 9 present and 0 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you. Everyone is present on the council. We'll now go to public comment on non-agenda items and turn over to our attendees. I'd like to recognize Mr. Glass, Brett Glass.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I just stopped in to make a couple of quick comments, one of which is, I think, relevant to your upcoming schedule. Well, the first is that today is June 1st, which is Laramie's official dumping day. On nearly every block in my neighborhood, there is something out on, in the courtesy strip or on a front lawn with a little sign that says free, which essentially means I have dumped this and I have left town and, well, someone else had better haul it away because I'm not going to do it. Now, the city has done a better job this year than in previous years in providing free access to the dump, and I'd like to commend it on that. It's made it easier to sign up online to get a free trip to the dump, but it hasn't publicized this very well. And what I'd like to suggest, in order to prevent the what we're seeing in our neighborhood this year, is that the city do a better job of getting the word out that this is available, and also make it easier for tenants who do not have utility bills to get through the process of getting a free trip to the dump, because I think that might help. So please consider that as you're looking at policy decisions in the future. The next thing I'd like to mention is that, I've taken a look at the maps showing where COVID-19 is still rampant and where it's being controlled. And unfortunately, our state has a problem in that we are one of the most vaccine-resistant states in the Union. And Albany County and Laramie in particular are hot spots for COVID-19 right now, whereas it's declining in the rest of the country. The state has effectively prohibited the county from doing anything. I would like to encourage the city to try to take some action to encourage people to get vaccinated, because I am frankly worried that when the students return to UW in the fall and UW is not requiring vaccinations, that we are going to see a flare up here. So I'm not sure what it is that the city might be able to do, but I'd like to ask the council to please discuss that and see if there's anything that we can do to encourage vaccination and discourage people from avoiding the vaccine and potentially infecting others. Finally, this is June 1st, and it's the first meeting of the month, which means we're going to have a fifth Tuesday. For a long time, we have not had fifth Tuesday ward meetings, and I would like to very much encourage council to reserve the final Tuesday of the month of June to finally have a fifth Tuesday meeting again in all of the wards, because, council may not have been getting enough input from citizens, and I think it's time. So that's all I have to say. Have a good evening, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. All right. Check and see if we have other folks attending the meeting tonight that would like to make a public comment on a non-agenda related item. I don't see any hands. Okay. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment and move to the next item on the agenda. which is a proclamation. No, it is not. I apologize, council members. It's consideration of changes in the agenda and setting the agenda. I'll turn it over to the Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the following changes to the agenda be approved. First, we're going to add an executive session regarding litigation, Wyoming Statute 14-4-405, lowercase a, Roman numeral 3, regarding litigation to item number 20 on our adjournment. Our second item is we're going to add Sharon Buscino as an appointee for item number 9L on our consent agenda regarding resolution 2021-39. And our third change is we're going to add under item 9M, a June 22nd, 2021, 6 p.m. work session on affordable housing.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor of the changes to the agenda, please indicate by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I move that the agenda be set as changed.
Council members,
Second.
please indicate. Oh, thank you, Councilor Somerville. Second by Councilor Somerville. Council members, please indicate your vote on this item by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
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 And I didn't ask for nays the last time. Any opposed? Seeing none. Moving on. Thank you, Vice Mayor. All right. Now to the next item on our agenda, proclamations, public hearings and notifications. We have a proclamation, 6A, numerat 1, a proclamation for the High Plains Curmudgeon Society, and I'd like to turn it over to Councilor Somerville to read that proclamation on behalf of the City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is always a favorite of mine every year. I think my husband is aspiring to join them at some point in time down the road. In recognition of the High Plains Curmudgeon Society, whereas a group of 9 semi-retired gentlemen and curmudgeon supporters, known as the High Plains Curmudgeon Society, approached the city of Laramie for the 12th consecutive year about community service projects and volunteering their skills, knowledge, and labor for the Parks and Recreation Department. And whereas the Parks and Recreation Department developed a list of community service projects and needs that the staff would like to complete, but due to time and budget constraints have not been completed. And whereas the High Plains Curmudgeon Society worked a minimum of 1 day each week from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. from January to the end of May for more than 1,000 hours of volunteer community service completing the projects. And whereas the community service projects completed by the High Plains Curmudgeon Society included building a bench for the Laramie Animal Shelter, shelves at the Laramie Community Recreation Center, repairing the trash enclosure at the Laramie Ice and Events Center, building teeter-totters for the Parks and Recreation Department's mountain biking program, and building a bench and pergola at the Aragon Dog Park. Now, therefore, we, the City Council of the City of Laramie, do hereby proclaim our sincere thanks to members of the High Plains Curmudgeon Society, including Glenn Phillips, Michael Markham, Lowell Baumgartner, Donald Gleaves, Donald Saltman, John Duvall, Thomas Howe, posthumously, Chip Annenson, and Jerry Boucher, for their estimated 1,000 hours of volunteer community service at the Recreation Center, Ice and Event Center, and City Parks and Buildings. And with that, I would add my sincere thanks and turn it over to Assistant Manager Fieser.
Yes, Assistant City Manager Fieser, thanks for being here to talk to us about this.
Absolutely. Honorable Mayor, City Council, a pleasure to be here to talk about this group of gentlemen that have become so near and dear to my heart. You know, one of the hardest things is when people you consider friends are passing. And this year, the Curmudgeons, even with the passing of Tom Howe in the middle of the season, still managed to maintain their volunteership and complete their projects. And that's a statement with the loss of a dear friend for many, many years that they've had and a loss to this community. But as you look around, I was actually visiting the pergola at the dog park when there was about 4 folks using the dog park, and they were so appreciative of just any amenities being placed up there, and just shows the true value of what volunteers can create for you. if you go by, it actually looks like a place that's inviting now and a place you want to visit instead of a big open fenced area that you're not sure what it's for. And I think that's really come a long ways between Clan Mike, the Dons, and Lowell Bangeter, and our donation that we recently recognized from Jerry Bucher towards the Curmudgeon projects just shows the value and what this small group of very talented men do for this community. And just want to, again, encourage a big round of applause and a thank you to those folks. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Assistant City Manager. I don't think there's anything else that we can add. But of course, we all want to say our own thanks. And it's really great to see this group year after year pitching in on all of these projects, which it's really important because, as the proclamation said, in light of the fact that the city isn't always able to get after every worthy project, a lot of these things wouldn't get done at all if it wasn't for community groups. And they deserve the recognition. They deserve a lot more than that, but the recognition we're ready, able, and happy to provide. Councilmember Schuster.
Thank you. I really want to say thank you to them. Two of them are former teachers that I have worked with, so it's really great to see that. High school teachers, boy, that's a long time ago.
Still providing community services. Well, we could probably spend a lot longer with thank yous. If anybody else has a particular one they want to give, now's your chance. Otherwise, I hope that it's clear to the Laramie Curmudgeons group that we really do appreciate everything they do for us. And it sounds like Councilmember Somerville's husband needs an application. I don't know what exactly the criteria are for joining the group. I think I heard retired or semi-retired, so you might want to talk to him about that, Councilmember Somerville. All right. Let's move to our next item, which is a proclamation, an annual proclamation that the city is proud and grateful to be able to play a small part in, which is the proclamation recognizing Laramie Pride Fest. Whereas Laramie Pride Fest was founded in 2017 to raise awareness about Wyoming's LGBTQ plus community and their contributions to Laramie's unique, diverse tapestry in a positive and productive manner. And whereas the 5th annual Laramie Pride Fest is the most visible event in Laramie for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and additional community, their friends and their families to express pride in who they are and whom they love. Whereas Laramie Pride Fest is dedicated to ensuring that Wyoming's LGBTQ plus community has a safe and inclusive environment to celebrate and honor their sexual orientations and gender identities. And whereas Laramie Pride Fest joins annual Pride celebrations across the United States and the world in commemorating June 2021 as the 52nd anniversary of the Stonewall Riots, the birthplace of the modern fight for LGBTQ plus justice and equity. And whereas LGBTQ plus citizens led by trans women of color, Marsha P. Johnson, trans women of color, pardon me, everyone. Women of color, Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera resisted police harassment that arose out of the discriminatory criminal laws that have since been declared unconstitutional during the Stonewall Riots. And whereas in the 5 decades since, civil rights for the LGBTQ plus community have expanded substantially, and Pride celebrations across the country and world have taken place every June to commemorate the beginning of the Stonewall Riots. And whereas Laramie Pride Fest will raise awareness about Wyoming's LGBTQ plus community and their contributions to Laramie's unique, diverse tapestry in a positive and productive manner. And whereas Wyoming's LGBTQ plus community will celebrate Pride during the month of June with events happening throughout the state, including in Cheyenne, Casper, Pinedale, Rock Springs, Lander, Laramie, Jackson, and whereas Wyoming's LGBTQ plus community are living authentically today more than ever before, and they deserve to know the city of Laramie and the state of Wyoming supports them. And whereas the city of Laramie celebrates its diverse LGBTQ plus community and is committed to ensuring equity for all Laramie citizens by fostering acceptance and preventing discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. And whereas the city of Laramie is the only municipality in the state of Wyoming to have adopted a non-discrimination ordinance that prevents its residents from being discriminated against based on their sexual orientation and gender identity through employment, public accommodations, and housing practices. And whereas the LGBTQ plus community is a vital part of Laramie's economy and culture and contributes to a stronger city. And whereas Laramie's economy and culture are more prosperous when the civil rights of all people are equal, and we recognize that the LGBTQ plus community as being vital to Laramie's success as an economically strong and culturally vibrant city. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Paul Weaver, acting as mayor and president of the governing body of the city of Laramie, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2021 as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer Pride Month in Laramie, and congratulate the 5th annual Laramie Pride Fest and encourage residents in Laramie and across the Equality State, to join Laramie Pride Fest in celebration and recognition of the accomplishments, history, and legacy of Wyoming's LGBTQ plus community. Do we have anyone from the public that has joined us this evening that wanted to make a small acceptance comment or comments? I see a hand raised, and I'd like to recognize our guest, and I'm looking for, there we go. Ms. Bolden, thank you so much. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much for reading that, and thank you, City Council members, for being supportive of our proclamation as well. I just wanted to express our gratitude to your support in promoting diversity and inclusion in our community, and to helping to ensure the safety and the support of our LGBTQ plus community here in Laramie. So I'm a part of the board, and from the board and everyone who's involved in Pride Fest, I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Other comments are welcome, but not required. I do see we have a few other guests that have joined us. I see Miss McCleary. I see Sean, a friend of mine that goes back a ways. Mr. Moran, welcome. As I said, other comments are welcome, but not required. We appreciate your attendance here through the video conferencing format for the proclamation. And I see other guests. I don't always see last names. So Tammy, hello. Sean, hi there. Good to see you. Well, we appreciate your attendance here and your community spirit for this. And I can say on behalf of the council, we wish you a safe and happy celebration of Pride Month. And thank you so much for being here. Appreciate your presence. Thank you. It's great to be part of a national holiday. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, members of the council, why don't we move to our next proclamation, 6A numerat 3, a proclamation in recognition of Animal Service Week, and it's my honor to turn it over to Councilmember O'Doherty.
Even though nobody loves dogs more than our mayor, I asked to read this. Whereas approximately 6.5 million companion animals enter U.S. animal shelters nationwide every year, according to the www.aspca.org. Whereas many of these animals are in need of a new home that can provide them the love and care they deserve. Whereas adopting an animal from a shelter is one form of animal service that provides animals an opportunity to recover from tragic situations, being well fed, receiving vaccinations, adoption, and much more. Whereas another form of animal services are the many organizations that exist to help provide education and support to pet owners to create a mutually beneficial environment for pets and their owners or caregivers. Whereas when a pet owner and pet can communicate effectively, it eliminates stress and promotes a mutually beneficial environment for all those that come in contact with them. Whereas the trainers have been used for years to work with service and therapy dogs to support humans in early detection or prevention of health conditions. Whereas the following agencies and organizations provide local services for rescue animals or provide assistance with training and education opportunities. They are the City of Laramie Animal Shelter, Laramie Animal Welfare Society, also known as LAWS, Rock and E Dog Training and Consulting, Cowboy Canine Training, Proper Pets LLC Training and Behavior Care, and the Barker Dog Foundation, Inc. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Aaron O'Doherty, City Council member, on behalf of Paul Weaver, acting as mayor and president of the governing body of the city of Laramie, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim the week of June 1st through 8th, 2021 as Animal Service Week, and encourage residents to recognize the positive impact rescue animals can have on your life and positive work provided by community organizations to promote education and support to pets and pet owners.
Thank you, Councilmember O'Doherty. And what a great proclamation. And I want to thank folks from the Barker Dog Foundation that came forward with an idea for recognition of an Animal Service Week, and all of those organizations that were included in that proclamation. Many of them have been providing services to pets and pet caretakers for a long time. And of course, our staff at the animal shelter, a couple of them I'm familiar with and have been with us for quite some time. And it's a good thing to provide this recognition. I don't know I think almost every single member of the council owns a pet. I'm not 100%, but I think most of us are pet owners. And it's just nice to be able to do this. Pets are an extremely important part of people's lives. So it's a highly appropriate proclamation. Do we have anyone, guests representing any of these organizations that might like to make a statement in acceptance of this proclamation? And of course, my usual invitation there is comments are welcome but not required. And we see that you're here and we appreciate your attendance at our meeting. But if you'd like to say something, you certainly can. Don't see any hands up. And that's okay. Just
Mayor, we did have Sherry Bachbinder with us, but she seems to have disappeared on the list. But and she was from Barker Dog Foundation, just for information there.
Thank you, City Clerk. And I do see an attendee that may be Sherry, and I don't know if they just need a minute to unmute. And it's certainly not required. As we said, we just like to be able to give people an opportunity as we express our own gratitude and recognition for the folks providing animal services.
I'm here.
Great. Why don't I turn it over to you and welcome. And please, if you'd like to share something with us, go right ahead.
Thank you so much, Mayor. It's an honor to be included in the local groups that have been here for so long. We're new to Laramie, but we're here to help bring education about service and therapy dog awareness to the community and to the pet owners as well. And we're looking forward to engaging in our community. So thank you so much for including us.
You are completely welcome. And I know you've been here for a little bit, but welcome to the Laramie community. I think you'll find it to be, and probably already have for some time, found it to be a very pet friendly small city. And we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you being here. And at some point that proclamation will be available for someone to pick up, and if you'd like to. And we look forward to making this another one of our regular proclamations because it's important, and we're just happy to do it. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you. All right, City Council members, we are now to the portion of our agenda where we have public hearings to address, and I'm going to turn it over to the City Clerk for an announcement on the first public hearing. Please.
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing of the Laramie City Council will be held Tuesday, June 1st, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom from City Hall Council Chambers, 406 Ivinson Avenue, Laramie, Wyoming, for the following purpose. Original ordinance number 2027, amending section 10.24.005 of the Municipal Code related to the definition of conviction. All information relative to this matter is available for review at the City of Laramie City Clerk's office at 406 Ivinson Avenue, Laramie, Wyoming. Anyone wishing to be heard should be present or represented by his or her agent at the meeting.
Thank you, City Clerk, for the announcement. If we have members of the public that have joined us at the meeting, we would welcome anything they'd like to share with us at this public hearing. This is an item that will also be on the agenda later. I don't see any hands up, and the city clerk is indicating that it's the same from her perspective. So we'll give it just a quick second. All right, seeing no public comment during the public hearing, we will close the public hearing on that item and move to the next public hearing. And I will once again call on the city clerk to provide the announcement for us.
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing of the Laramie City Council will be held Tuesday, June 1st, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom from City Hall Council Chambers, 406 Ivinson Avenue, Laramie, Wyoming, for the following purpose. Original ordinance number 2028, amending Laramie Municipal Code 5.08, 5.09, and 12.60 related to alcoholic beverages. All information relative to this matter is available for review at the City of Laramie City Clerk's office at 406 Ivinson Avenue, Laramie, Wyoming. Anyone wishing to be heard should be present or may be represented by his or her agent at the meeting.
Thank you. Another invitation for members of the public in attendance that may want to speak to this item on the public hearing, during the public hearing. Seeing none. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing on this item. Thank you, City Clerk, for the announcements. We'll now move on to general announcements from the staff, city staff. City Manager Jordan, do we have any announcements this evening from the staff?
Mayor, we do. We have 3 announcements. I think our Assistant City Manager will provide those for you.
Great.
Oh, and I'm sorry, we actually have 4. After the Assistant City Manager, the Public Works Director. I apologize. Thank you.
No problem, City Manager. Okay, Assistant City Manager Fieser, you're up.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, I'll tackle these in order of date, but just so everybody knows, annually the Optimist Dog Park gets closed due to maintenance issues, and today it was opened back up at 11 a.m. We do still have some fenced off areas, but it is available for folks to use, so we're happy to get that open. On Saturday, the Ivinson Memorial Hospital and Foundation, Albany County Public Health, and the City of Laramie are partnering to do an event called Shots, Brats, and Brews. It's from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the First Street Plaza, where anybody that comes down and gets vaccinated, whether given the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, will be able to get a free brat and a free beer from the Coal Creek Coffee or Coal Creek Tap. So we're happy to be part of that event. And then beginning on Monday, June 7th, the Recreation Center is going to be going into some changes. First off, the masks are no longer going to be required per CDC and State of Wyoming changes. We are going to add back the Sunday hours, so we will be 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, Saturday 7 to 6, and Sunday 11 to 6. The outdoor pool and the splash pad will open on the 10th, and then the Washington Park wading pool will open on June 14th, but we are extremely tight staffed in the lifeguard area, and it will be under a block scheduling, and people should check out www.cityoflaramie.org/pools to get more information on the outdoor pool and indoor pool schedules. I'll be happy to answer any questions related to those events.
Council members, any questions about those events, or even comments if you might like to say, as I would? Thank you to Coal Creek Tap. Councilmember O'Doherty.
Wondering if you might have any more Red Cross training for lifeguards coming up to help fill that problem.
Honorable Mayor, through you to Councilor O'Doherty, we do have those about weekly. I think there's another one actually this Saturday and Sunday again. We do bring staff on that take the training, and if they pass the training, we immediately hire them and do cover the cost of that training, which is about $400. So that is available, and advertising has started to try to encourage more applications. I do hope that in July we'll see more applications as some of the changes related to COVID do happen. So we'll see from there.
Thank you.
Great question, Councilmember Doherty. Thank you for that information, Assistant City Manager Fieser. Sounds like an opportunity for potentially a good summer job. As we all know, David Hasselhoff is retired, so lifeguards are needed. Did we get through all the announcements, Assistant City Manager Fieser, that you had for us?
We sure did. It's just a fair notice that my whole career started as a lifeguard. So if somebody wants a long distinguished career as a municipal employee, they should start out lifeguarding.
It's a great place to start. I have an unrelated question that I'm just going to take this opportunity to ask. You know, I know Laramie's received a Tree City USA designation for many years. I wonder if there's a designation as a Dog City USA. I heard dogs in the background. We've talked about the dog park reopening. We've recognized animal services here in the city of Laramie. When I was out walking my dog today, just as every other day, I saw a whole bunch of people out doing the same thing. This is a very pet-friendly, very pet-oriented community, although I suspect many other cities and towns across the United States would be eligible for that distinction. We should look into that.
Honorable man, certainly look.
And it's not just dogs. We're friendly to all kinds of animals, including the raccoons that break into the office area at the landfill. Speaking of that, I think we have Mr. Webb here to provide an announcement about Public Works. Mr. Webb, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Just wanted to give you a quick update on how our compost free day went out at the landfill. We had 214 residents show up on May 22nd for compost free day. Those residents came out and got approximately 550 tons of compost. That equals out to about 1.1 million pounds. Anyone who missed the free day, we've got more, so they can come on out anytime we're open, Monday through Saturday, 8 to 4:30 p.m. The cost of the compost now is $25 per ton, and that equates to about $1 per 80 pounds. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Any questions for Mr. Webb on the compost day or any of those other items? I recall in years past people from the Laramie Garden Group helping us launch that, promote that, and get that going. And I'm not super knowledgeable about it, but that sounds like a pretty good deal on high quality compost. So let's share that with our friends and neighbors that are interested in gardening. Appreciate the announcement. Okay, I think that gets us through announcements. And now we're into disclosures by city council members. Are there any city council members that wish to disclose a conflict of interest or other concern about an item on tonight's agenda? Seeing none. Okay. Okay. That takes us now to the consent agenda. And I will turn it over to the Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the consent agenda be approved and that each specific action on the consent agenda be approved as indicated.
Second.
A motion and a second from Councilmember Harrington. Can we have a roll call vote on the consent agenda, City Clerk?
Cumby,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
O'Doherty,
Yes.
Schuster,
Yes.
Felder, yes. Somerville,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
That motion carries and the consent agenda has been approved. I do want to just quickly, as is traditional, thank those individuals of our community who have stepped up to serve on boards and commissions. Those are volunteer positions. They take time, and we're grateful to those individuals that have come forward and are willing to volunteer that time on behalf of the city of Laramie to help us make informed policy decisions in a number of areas. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and congratulations on your appointment to those boards. That takes us now into the regular agenda, council members, and we will open it with item number 11. Item number 11. council members, I don't recall who that was. Thank you, Councilmember Somerville. And council members, I did not have time to write those down, so help me out. Councilmember Somerville, over to you. Thank you, Councilmember Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the City Council approve the application for special malt beverage permit number special-6 to Cowboy State Brewing LLC, DBA Cowboy State Brewing, location of permit at University of Wyoming War Memorial Stadium, excluding Wildcatter, Laramie, Wyoming, for the licensing term June 2nd, 2021 through May 7th, 2022, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Second.
It's a motion and a second, I think, from the vice mayor that time, and I'm going to turn it back over to Councilmember Somerville.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would move that we postpone this item until the June 15th, 2021 meeting.
Second.
A motion and a second. City Clerk, if you might just give us a very brief update about the reasons for that.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor and Council. The reason for the postponement request tonight is we are still missing one final piece, the contract with the university to finalize that application. According to state statute, we do have to have a complete application before the council can take action. So I apologize for, again, another delay on that, but I do appreciate the postponement.
Thank you, City Clerk. And I don't think it's anything you need to apologize for. And it's just one of those issues where people need to have time to get their things done, get them processed, and get them in so we can stay in compliance with state law. But it's good to have an explanation. Any other comments or discussions or discussion and/or questions about this item? Okay. Let's have a roll call vote.
Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Schuster.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Stoller. Yes. Pierce.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 noes, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That motion carries, and that item has been postponed. Now I'd like to turn it over to Councilmember Schuster for item number 12.
Thank you very much. Item 12, the title is Award of a Bid for the North Campus Water Main Project. I move to award the bid for the North Campus Water Main Project to Offadol Construction of Casper, Wyoming, in the amount of $1,637,755, along with a contingency of $163,775 for a total amount not to exceed $1.801,530 and to amend the fiscal year 2021 water budget accordingly by authorizing the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Second from the vice mayor. I see that we have Mr. Webb here to provide background. Go ahead, Mr. Webb.
Yeah, Honorable Mayor, City Council, as you know, we're under construction on the Municipal Operations Center North Campus. This project's been under design for quite a while and brings water to that campus. It also provides water for future development in the area. And really the big thing we need there is fire protection for the buildings at the North Campus. We currently don't have sufficient fire protection with the upgrades to the buildings and new buildings going in. We're required to put in fire sprinkler systems, and we need the water capacity to do that. We designed this project in coordination with future developments in the area so that we'll have water capacity for those developments as they occur. We received four bids. Is what we're recommending to you is the low bid from Offadol Construction be awarded for the project. I'll take any questions if you have them.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Webb on the project, the bid? I think this is one of those that we're just following along as it progresses, and there are things that pop up that are to be anticipated. Councilmember Schuster, there you go.
Thank you. Just asking on that project, does the water come off our North Tank project when it's completed, or will that be off another system?
Honorable Mayor, Council Schuster, the connection is actually at 10th and Buford Street is where we're connecting. As the North Tank project is built out, that will connect to that line. They'll be interconnected to help with additional capacity.
Thank you.
Other questions? It's a big project, long time coming. Okay. Let's go to public comment on this item if there is anyone that wants to make it. I don't see any hands just yet. We'll give it just a second or two. Seeing none, City Clerk does not see any either. Back to the council in case you have remembered a question or a comment. City Clerk, can we have a roll call on the item?
Schuster,
Yes.
Felder, yes. Somerville,
Yes.
Cumby,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
O'Doherty,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 no's, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That motion carries. Now to item number 13, which is Councilmember Schuster.
Thank you very much. The title is Amendment Number 1 to the Professional Service Agreement for the North Campus Water Main Design. Thank you. I move to approve the Amendment Number 1 to the Professional Service Agreement for the North Campus Water Main Project with AVI Engineering to conduct a construction inspection services in the amount of $116,223. Amend the fiscal year 2021 water fund budget accordingly and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
A second from Councilmember Cumby. Thank you. Mr. Webb?
Honorable Mayor, City Council, as is usual, we're following up with a amendment to the design contract for the project you just awarded. This will allow AVI, who designed the project, to complete construction services and construction management on the project for the North Campus water line.
Thank you very much. Questions for Mr. Webb on this item? Let's see if there's public comment from anyone that's in attendance. Doesn't appear that there's any public comment. Council members, seeing no indication that anyone has questions or further comment, City Clerk, let's have a roll call on the item.
Cumby,
Yes.
O'Doherty,
Yes.
Somerville,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
Schuster,
Yes.
Felder, yes. Pierce,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 no's, Your Honor.
And the motion carries. Thank you, Public Works Director Brooks, for being here. We appreciate it. Let's move on to item number 15. Item number 15, which is Councilmember Stelter.
I think it's item 14.
Councilmember Cumby is the on this one.
Yeah, I'm skipping ahead. It is Councilmember Cumby. Over to you.
I move to award the bid for a 10-yard dump truck to McCandless Truck Center, Cheyenne, Wyoming, in the total amount of $142,093.01 after trade-in of Unit 211216 and acceptance of all alternates and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion and a second from Vice Mayor Pierce. Mr. Webb, council was trying to cut you loose early. One more item. Go ahead.
Yeah, Honorable Mayor, City Council, excuse me, this is to replace current dump truck in the fleet with the, from the street department. We're getting it with a plow attachment, so it's a dump truck with a plow, snow plow. It's been in the replacement schedule and it's ready to go. We put it out to bid. We got 3 bids in and we are recommending the low bid McCandless Truck Center from Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Questions about the equipment purchased? Members of the public that might want to weigh in on this item. This is your opportunity. Seeing none. Back to the council. City Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Cumby,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
O'Doherty,
Yes.
Schuster,
Yes.
Stalder,
Yes.
Somerville,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes,
That's 9 yeses and 0 noes, Your Honor.
that motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, now I think we're on item number 15 for Councilmember Stalder to introduce.
Thank you, Mayor. I somehow got kicked off Zoom.
Jessica, I think part of it is that there's 2 connections right now. So if you either disconnect it on, yeah, that's much better.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what happened. I got kicked off the video part and I was still on the audio part. It was really confusing. I move that the council approve the submission of a grant agreement for FAA Airport Improvement Program, AIP, by Laramie Regional Airport for $301,830 to install taxiway lighting, taxiway C, and installing runway 12 vertical visual guidance system, DAPI, and authorize the mayor and city attorney to sign.
Second.
So motion and a second from Councilmember Schuster. Do we have staff that would like to provide any background on this item? It's like we may have.
Mayor,
Yeah.
I could give you a brief. City attorney may be able to fill in the blanks that I may not be able to, give you. But from time to time, with the airport being a joint powers board, it does require the approval of the city as well as Albany County Commissioners for them to apply for grants out at the airport. So the one before you, as you heard in the motion, was to just apply for a grant for installing taxiway lighting and runway guidance systems for $301,830. We did invite Amy Carroll with her position being new. I'm not sure that she's with us tonight, but if you have any other questions, Bob is here and he may have additional information that I don't.
Thank you, City Clerk. I think that was a pretty good outline of the project. I think it's fairly clear why it would be important to upgrade the lighting systems and the other equipment described there in the grant. City Attorney, if you'd like to add anything, you certainly have an opportunity. But if you don't need to, I think the City Clerk has given us an adequate rundown. You're certainly welcome to. You're muted, City Attorney. Sorry.
Well, now I don't have anything more to say. Yes. now that I'm unmuted, I'll say that these grants are very well overseen. They're reimbursement grants, which are funneled through agencies in the state. In other words, like the invoices and things. So they're very well managed, very well overseen, and it was impressed upon us last week how important a grant like this is. So,
absolutely. I think there was an invitation for any questions. Council members, if you have any on this grant. Councilmember Schuster.
Thank you very much. I've been one of those unfortunate people that have flown into the airport to only circle for 45 minutes and then be diverted back. And one of the things I heard on the grant was a landing system. So one of the things that Laramie has until it receives an ability to put radar up and tell you how far and how high you are up is we have to have 3/4 of a mile visibility in order to land here. So I kind of thought I heard when we were talking about all the different grants was a landing system, which I'd be excited to see, so that last time was kind of a little frustrating because we circled for 45 minutes and then told to go back to Denver because we were unable to land here. And then we had to try to get a rental car, which is very expensive to leave in Laramie and not take back to Denver. So I'm extremely happy if that was part of what I heard in this grant was a landing system. So thank you very much.
You bet, Councilmember Schuster. I think we did have that in the description, and that sounds like a pain for sure. Sounds like a needed upgrade out there at the airport. Any other questions on the application? City of Laramie and the airport and the county, I think, are grateful to be able to participate in this kind of a program to receive those dollars. Do we have any public comment? I see a hand raised. It is Judy Snoke. We'd like to recognize her and allow her to speak in the meeting. Go ahead.
Okay. I want to agree with what Brian said, Councilmember Schuster. This goes way back to 1983, and it's terrifying that it's still the same situation still exists. So this is a much needed improvement. We circled around the airport in some ancient airplane and went back to Denver, had to spend the night. Still couldn't get up the next morning and fly into Laramie. So I took a station wagon taxi cab to get here through the snow, and it was not pleasant. That was my introduction to Laramie in the winter. But I'm still here. So I'm glad to hear about this. Brian, I am right behind you.
Thank you. And yet she's still here, but it sounds like this upgrade is needed for people with maybe a little less fortitude than Judy Snow. So again, we're grateful to be able to participate in these kinds of programs and have those dollars available. Leaves no doubt in my mind that this is going to be an upgrade and an improvement. Other public comments? And thank you for sharing those. All right, council members, anything you want to ask or add here for the city attorney, city clerk? I think it's pretty straightforward. City clerk, I'd like to have you do a roll call vote on the item.
Tuckey.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Schuster.
Yes.
Stalder. Yes. Somerville.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 no's, Your Honor.
The motion carries, and thank you. We're now on to item number 16, and I'll turn it over to Councilmember Gabriel.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve on second reading the original ordinance number 2027, amending in part section 10.24.005 of the municipal code related to the definition of conviction.
Second.
It's a motion and second from the Vice Mayor. Turn it over to City Attorney Southern.
Mayor and Council, nothing has changed from the last meeting. This is to make our definition of conviction in the Laramie City Code identical to the state statute's definition of conviction. It becomes important only in a few instances, but when it becomes important, it is important. And as explained last week, we wanted to make sure that we caught is the wrong word, but that if our various criminal issues involve or depend upon an earlier conviction, that conviction is defined as the same as it is in state statute. So I'll answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions for the City Attorney on this item? Seems fairly self-evident why we need to do it. Let's see if there's public comment. I don't see any public comment. The city clerk doesn't either. Council, second chance. City clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
Schuster.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Felder.
Yes.
Harrington. Sorry, Harrington. Are you still there? Did I lose everyone?
City clerk, I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I think we might have temporarily lost Councilmember Harrington. So we'll just have to.
He looked frozen.
He's returned.
Oh,
Councilmember
there he is.
I'm a yes vote.
Harrington.
Thank you. Zoom crashed.
Thank you. Pierce.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 noes, Your Honor.
Thank you. That motion carries. Council, that brings us to item number 17. I'll turn it over to Councilmember O'Doherty.
I move to approve original ordinance number 2028, amending Laramie Municipal Code sections 5.08, 5.09, and 12.60 related to alcoholic beverages on second reading.
Second.
And a second from the Vice Mayor, who has provided the majority of the seconds to motions this evening.
Hey, I'm waiting.
City Clerk, it's over to you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight we have the second reading of original ordinance 2028. We haven't changed anything for this reading. I'm not asking for any additional amendments. However, there were a couple things that we didn't mention at the end of our presentation 2 weeks ago, and so I thought I'd just point those out. They're not changes that affect our municipal code. However, it is something that you may see in operation going forward. So one of those notable changes from House Bill 13 was to allow multiple licenses to be held by the same entity. So what you may see in future years is Hensley Property Holdings may bring forward the stadium and arena special malt beverage licenses rather than Cowboy State Brewing and Roxy's Catering LLC. The reasoning for that is the Wyoming Liquor Division said there were workarounds. All you had to do was create a new entity, and so it's just easier to go ahead and let them hold multiple licenses. So there was that change. Another was the removal of the requirement to post notice of application at the business location. So we are still required to post notification of applications to the public through the newspaper and on our website. However, we're no longer required to post it at the business location after July 1st. So this is both a pro and a con for me. It's one of the times that I get out to see all the business holders, the license holders. So it's a little sad, but, I'll just have to find other ways to see them. And one other thing that they removed was the requirement for a legal description on the application. The legal description was like range 73 of township 15, block, whatever. They removed that section, finding that it wasn't necessarily helpful in the process, so they did remove that requirement. Just as a reminder, some of the big changes in House Bill 13 were to add definitions such as delivery, shipping, and sealed containers, and removing definitions such as room under restaurant liquor licenses, and also changing the definition of a restaurant license to remove the requirement of a full-service restaurant. With that, there were a few other changes to some definitions and separation of microbrewery and winery. But other than that, it's the same as what we went over 2 weeks ago. But if you want me to go in depth on anything or have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Questions for the city clerk on this item? Some operational changes due to changes in state law. City clerk, just because you mentioned it, there's certainly nothing in the new laws that would prohibit you from going to catch up on a personal basis with license holders, right? I mean, I mean that in all seriousness. If there was, you could certainly still do that if need be, right? And they could request you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned that simply by way of, we're not a very large community, and there may be questions. And of course, I think our license holders know who to call, and that they can receive help from the city clerk's office for questions that they might have, especially that due to the fact that things have changed with liquor licenses a couple of times in the last few years, and they may change again. Other questions for the city clerk? Let's see if there's any public comment on the item. Doesn't look like it. Okay. Council? I'd like to ask just one quick follow-up, and that's about the license holder being able to hold the same license for multiple locations. Is that the best way to understand that? In other words, their singular license can apply to multiple locations, or am I not understanding that correctly?
They do have to apply for separate licenses per location. But what it means is that Roxy's on Grand could have the location that she's currently in, as well as hold the license for the stadium and the arena under the Hensley property holdings that she currently has, instead of the way that we do it currently, where she has the stadium under Cowboy State Brewing, LLC, the arena under Roxy's Catering, LLC, and the Roxy's on Grand under Hensley Properties Holding. It would allow them to use that Hensley's Property Holding to hold all three of the licenses, but they do have to be licensed separately.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep, multiple licenses sort of under one primary license that can then be at different locations.
Yeah, okay. Under one entity. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the clarification. I don't see any other questions. So I'll ask you for a roll call vote, City Clerk.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Cumby,
Yes.
Schuster,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Somerville,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 noes, Your Honor.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're now at the public comments section, item number 18, public comments on non-agenda items. And we'll see if there's anyone that wishes to provide public comment.
Mayor, if we could just give a quick reminder to folks on the phone that *9 will raise their hand if they want to make a comment.
Thank you. And I don't see anyone. Okay. Seeing none, we'll close the public comments section of the meeting, and I'm going to ask for consideration of future council work session topics. We've added one. Vice Mayor Pierce.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think Mr. Glass made a pretty valid point regarding our 5th Tuesday meeting. And I know I've had discussions with a few folks on council about this, and I think we might want to consider, and might want to try something if we can safely do that in light of our COVID numbers. I don't know if that's at all possible, but I think we need to start thinking about potential venues, outside, ultraviolet light, good weather. I don't know, just wishful thinking. But I just throw it out there for consideration.
Councilmember Schuster.
Thank you. I completely agree with Councilor Pierce. I think what we should do is give it the 2-week period, and at our next meeting would be plenty of time to advertise it. So I would like to see if we can go back to our normal spots, but if we can't, we can't. But I would like to give it 2 weeks. We've had a slight little flare up, I think, because of maybe the Memorial Day weekend, but kind of want to see what happens in the next 2 weeks. I don't know if anybody else agrees with that statement, but thank you.
Discussion, Councilmember O'Doherty.
So would this be instead of having our work session on the 29th about affordable housing?
City Clerk.
That's on the 22nd.
Thank you. I wrote the 29th.
It's okay. Other input. Councilmember Gabriel.
Just a question about that work session on the 22nd. Some of the people that might be involved, it's a critical issue. I was wondering who we had lined up, if we needed, a lot of different people, or who's going to be involved in that work session.
It sounds like a question that we might want to direct towards the city manager.
Hello, through you, Mayor and Council. So I've been in conversation with staff in our planning office and in my office. What we anticipated doing in this first work session is we will need to revisit some of our existing documents related to affordable housing, notably the Housing Action Plan adopted by the city a few years ago, our Thrive Plan, which also identified some housing concerns and objectives. We also have previously discussed and looked at the Housing Action Plan and statistics provided by the Wyoming Business Council. And I'm racking my brain because I know I'm forgetting a couple of other documents. But Councilor Gabriel, that was our intention with this work session. Is this likely an opening of a dialogue, starting with refreshing our memory as to what objectives we previously adopted, and then moving likely into a second work session in July, because this is a pretty multifaceted, multi-headed hydra of a topic in the community, as you know, and has been for a number of years.
Just curious whether or not we would have any contractors involved with some of the different ordinances that they have to comply with on building, housing, that type of thing, or would that maybe come down the road?
Through you, Mayor, Councilor Gabriel, one of the issues that we wanted to touch on is available on the city's website, I believe, which is the code audit that we've conducted as part of our affordable housing exercise that was tangential to your Thrive plan. So in that way, we would look in-house at that code audit, but there is no intention at this point in that work session, largely because I just don't think there's enough time to invite private folks in to talk about concerns with the code at this time. But we did, as you recall, have that independent code audit as part of the neighborly program. I believe Councilmember Harrington was involved in some of that discussion that was, like I said, tangential to the Thrive plan being worked up and ultimately adopted a year ago now, a little over a year ago now.
Great, thank you.
City Manager, something that had just occurred to me while we're having this part of the discussion. Is this a work session that we might be better served having after we've reviewed the Thrive and had the Recovery Thrive session that we've discussed, and then have this work session follow that? Or is it, in your mind, probably better for us to go ahead and review the material that you outlined even before we had that?
Yeah, Mayor, I think that's a great question, and I just want to clarify. I think you're referring to the reboot and revisitation of the Thrive plan that we thought we might engage in this year. And that was our post-COVID retrospective, just to make sure that that plan, which is very new, but was adopted literally weeks before COVID occurred, to make sure that that Thrive plan is current in a post-COVID environment. So if that's what you're referring to, I have been in contact with our consultant, but I have not entered into a professional services agreement with that firm at this time. For a lot of reasons I can go into if you'd like, or I can wait and we can talk about elsewhere. But they pertain largely to wanting to complete a couple of our second steps in the plan that I think are crucial to any review and rebooting of the larger plan. Those things are broadband, they're the university's involvement, and housing, frankly, in the sort of subset of material that we did through, as I said, the working group Brian Harrington sat on to look at housing in particular. So I haven't pulled the trigger on that. And to answer your question directly, I don't think so. I think it makes sense. Let's revisit and reacquaint the council and the community with all of the work that we did literally weeks before and months before COVID. And then that might actually make me feel more confident in entering into that professional services agreement with Fourth Economy to take another look at Thrive.
All right, I think I heard that your advice would be to go the other way, which certainly sounds reasonable to me. Okay. Work sessions, upcoming meetings, questions, and discussion. I'd like to weigh in a little bit on the ward meetings topic, if I can. It's interesting because in the same public comment that requested the council to consider the ward meetings, it was also outlined that we continue to have some COVID-19 concerns in the community. And those are concerns that have been expressed to me by members of the public and other elected officials that don't share seats with us here on the council, and they're serious and they're considerable. So I'd ask us to try to use some creative thinking about how we might want to go about ward meetings. We may want to provide a couple of different opportunities for people to communicate with us in that format, the ward meeting format, but not necessarily require all of those meetings to be in person. my suspicion is that there might be members of the public that would like to have the ward meeting format, but might not necessarily want to go and gather with groups of people wherever those might take place. The other issue that I think we need to consider when we talk about that is traditionally what we've done is we've picked a location more or less within the ward area, and those have been where we've hosted those. Some of them are sparsely attended, and some of them are pretty heavily attended on a regular basis. So I'd ask members of the council to consider all of those different aspects of that question before we revisit the topic in 2 weeks and see which direction we might want to go. I think we might want to do ward meetings, but I'm not sure exactly the best way to do that. I would have some concerns. I'll just share with you all now about transitioning to a fully in-person indoor or outdoor ward meeting setup again. Any other discussion? All right. Councilmember Schuster, I'd like to turn it over to you for the next motion.
Thank you. I'll pop up on the screen here. I have a question. The Wyoming State Statute was brought to me in two different ways. I need to know if it's Wyoming State Statute 16 or Wyoming State Statute 14. It was said two different ways between our two things. So I wonder if someone could tell me.
City Clerk, do you have some guidance?
Yeah, it should be 16, Mayor.
Thank you, because it was stated 14 the second time. So I move that we adjourn to executive session regarding litigation, Wyoming State Statute 16-4-405, small letter A, Roman numeral 3.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. And council members, before we take the vote on this, if you'll allow me, I'd like to suggest we just get right over to that as we're still well under 8 o'clock so that maybe we can get through the exec session and then just move on towards the end of the night. So get there just as quick as you can, folks. And all those in favor of Councilmember Schuster's motion to adjourn to executive session, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. See you there shortly.